Hello, everybody. Thank you for dropping by. We are back with Drop a Line. I am broadcasting from One True Promotion on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And tonight we have a very special guest, one of our most frequent and most cherished collaborators whom we met through the Arts and Authors Extravaganza. Her name is Shandylinn DeVita. She is an excellent photographer and a brilliant marketing and artistic mind. Let's give her a warm welcome. And here she is. How are you?
Hey, Alec. Doing good. How about you?
I am doing fantastic. So happy you're here with us tonight so we could have a nice chat. Don't you love that?
I do.
Love that whole,
I do.
Love that whole intro sequence we were able to give you. It's just fun, isn't it?
It is. It's fantastic.
Yes. So
how's everything going?
Everything is going very, very well. I am, it's a busy season for me. I'm recently married. I am a graduate student. And whereas I used to spend kind of the whole day preparing for Drop a Line and then just kind of set it up in my living room around 8 o'clock, I am now occasionally arriving home from across the state only moments before it's time to start getting ready. So the whole experience is just very, very different. But it's still fun. I still love being here. It's one of the rocks that's really keeping me going.
Good.
No. To give some context, Kelly, into who you are, I really just want to open by telling the viewers a little story. So back in the day, hey, Kim Ross is watching. We love that lady. There she is. Kimberly Ross Hollingsworth is watching Drop a Line tonight. It is so good to have you. You are actually a character in the story that I'm about to tell. So long ago, in a time before the evil COVID monster ravaged the land, Andrew and I went to Arts and Authors Extravaganza, where we were treated to some wonderful, wonderful marketing and just made right at home by Kimberly Ross Hollingsworth. And while we were there, I happened to meet Kelly, who was tabling there. And at the time, Carrie and I were not about to publish The Children of Arc, the first in a series of 7 that we're very, very excited to publish and have been promoting all year long. I had only had Parker's Rules at the time, and I wasn't doing so well. I was definitely using Arts and Authors as a springboard to talk to some experts in the field about how they were promoting their brands. And Kelly actually gave me some life-changing advice there. I asked Kelly, how does one boost the sales for a new book? And she said, well, the first thing you do is you promote it a year in advance. So I must say, Kelly, I'm glad you're here, because since that day, we have actually, a lot of what we've been doing here has actually been implementing advice that you gave me.
Well, I can't take credit for that because I actually got that advice from Miss Kim.
There she is. We love you too. But you were really a pleasure to talk to that day. You've been a pleasure to talk to ever since. It's been wonderful working with you since Arts and Authors and One True Promotion started collaborating. So it's really great to have you here tonight. Now, for those who might not know who you are and what you're all about, would you like to let the viewers know who you are?
I am a creative mind that likes to draw, likes to photograph, likes to paint with words. It's my creative outlet, and I like to show the world how I view the world.
Wonderful. So can you give us an example, you say you show how you view the world. Can you give us an example of perhaps, something you were inspired to create in the last year or a couple years?
Well, as a creative mind, and sometimes you can't go out. Um, you have to still create something.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I like that. That's
I
very
also
nice.
crochet and knit when I can't do other things. So
Ah,
yeah, it's a
wonderful.
really long scarf.
That is beautiful. I'm actually a very big fan of scarves. I think that they are just like top-notch fashion. And I actually, it's my dream to have a good scarf collection, which I don't currently have. But
I have like I have like 25.
I
And I
know.
don't
So
wear
we're
them all. People are like, oh, it's
we're
pretty.
25-1 right now. It's like football season over here. Come on. Like, um, Kimberly Ross is saying Kelly has a great eye for beauty and detail. That is so true because the last time I was at Arts and Authors, I got to come by your table and see some of your more recent creations and hear the stories behind
Oh,
them. I was absolutely blown away.
which one did you like the most? Do you
So
remember?
there's one you caught of the sunrise, I believe. No, 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 no. Was it the eclipse? You caught the eclipse at a
Oh,
very
that's the
opportune moment.
sunset of at the day of the eclipse. It was the
Yes,
sunset of the day of the eclipse.
that
So it
piece was
was
so like ethereal to me. Just beautiful.
it's the blood moon, super blood moon eclipse in September of 2015.
Yes.
Um, and I happened to take a look instead of looking east, waiting for the moon to rise above the mountains. I looked west and the sky was just on fire. And so I took a look, it was just way too bright. It made everything else black. So I looked south and the sky was like cotton candy, just
Mm.
fluffy. It was gorgeous.
Mm. We see the sky every single day. You know what I mean? To the point that like I sometimes take it for granted, like there it is. It looks just as blue as it did yesterday. But like I love that you went out there and captured, a shift in the light and the environment and what we could see because those moments, especially if we're taking them for granted, they can go by so fast. So I love
Mhm.
that you grabbed that.
Well, it's just like as a photographer, I am an artist, but paints are not my thing. I am an artist
Mm-hmm.
with light,
Mm-hmm.
just like an author is an artist with words.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to remember how to capture that light to make it do what you want it to do. But you also have to remember what it was like and how it made you feel while capturing it, because your camera doesn't always necessarily portray those colors accurately.
Mm-hmm.
You need to do that post process, which has been going for hundreds of years since we've had photographs in the dark room. The dark room has just become the computer
Mm-hmm.
with Photoshop and GIMP and all of those. You can do the same thing you did in the dark room with those.
Mm-hmm. So we've kind of already stumbled into my next question. I was going to ask you a little bit about your usual process. For those who might not know anything about photography, can you give us like a few of the basics and then kind of take us into your specific style of working or style of art?
Um, I like color. I like color. I like color a lot. I don't wear a whole lot of color, but I like color.
Hmm. I hear
um,
that.
so, and one of the things I've gotten comments on from friends and family over the years is like when I capture the desert, when I lived out in Tucson, when I captured the desert, it wasn't just the browns and the drab greens and everything. My photographs had a color pop to them that just drew your eye, and you said, "That's the desert." Um, so when I go out and photograph, I go out and photograph usually with a purpose. But sometimes you find things when you're not looking for them. And that's what you got to keep your eye open for. There are times that my husband's like, yeah, we'll see you later. Because he'll see that I'm starting to look somewhere else and just I start to wander away.
Mm-hmm.
He says he loses more wives that way.
Well, if he's
But
smart, he'll keep this
I'm the only one, but that's beside the point.
one.
Once I capture a photograph, I bring it into Adobe Lightroom. And from there, I try to bring it back to how I remember the scene. I usually open up the shadows. I bring down the highlights. And I will tell you, as a photographer, you should rather underexpose your image than overexpose or correctly expose.
Hmm.
When you underexpose your image, maybe by a half stop, you have a little bit more leeway to make those colors pop more.
Hmm.
Because you can add that subtlety of saturation or vibrance.
Hmm. So it's kind of the same principle as it's better to undercook than overcook, right?
Right. Because when you overexpose, you're blowing out your whites.
Hmm.
So on my screen, my face looks really shiny right here and right here. But if I got really close to my light, you're going to see it get really white.
Hmm.
That's blowing out your highlights. You're not getting detail in those. When you underexpose, you get those details.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Those are things
That's
to
very
remember.
fascinating. Nobody's ever shared that with me before, honestly. In fact, I think I might have been told it was better to overexpose. So, yeah, that's
No,
very
you lose the
fascinating.
detail.
Yeah, but it makes so much sense, and I love that. Yeah, so it's like, you're the first photographer we've had on. I'm fairly certain, and it's very interesting to hear that it's an artistic process that starts before you grab the camera and finishes long after you've already put the camera down.
Mhm. Yeah, and you can learn the skills of photography. Um, YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
teachers, you can teach yourself. The thing is, you can never cultivate the eye
Mm-hmm.
of the image. If you don't have it, you don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the unfortunate part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Digital cameras came into the age and everybody's like, I want to be a photographer. I got this brand new freaking camera that's awesome. And I spent over $5,000 on it. Okay. You can teach your people. You can learn all the basics. You can tell people how to pose. But you may never have the eye. If you don't have an artistic eye, you don't have it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and it's interesting because I'm thinking of another saying now. This one a little bit more violent, but they talk about how a pencil in my hands would be more dangerous than a crossbow in yours. You know what I mean? Like, because seriously, like it really is about the intellect and what you do with your mind and what you do with your senses and your sensibilities. Um,
Yep.
because all artists have different tools. That's all the camera is a tool, right?
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That is my tool. I paint
Yeah.
with light instead of
Ooh, I love that.
paints.
Ooh, I love that. I could see that on a business card. Love that. Love, love, love. In fact, if you ever did like a photography book or an autobiography or kind of a hybrid thing, like Paint with Light would be a great title. I'm just pitching that to you. Anyway. So,
I already have that my title picked out for my auto.
There you go. I'm going to stop pitching to you then. I'm going to stop. We're just going to forget that ever happened because you got this. You got this. So speaking of autobiographies, I'd love for you to take us back, tell us about a time where you really just first realized, I have it.
Which part? That I have
any part. Any part.
Creative mind.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Take us back to the origins of how you got started creatively. Did it start with photography, or did it start with drawing, or?
Yeah. Drawing and poetry. I absolutely loved to draw when I was a child. I probably got it from my mom. She her degree was in fashion design. And so her creative outlet was drawing and painting and sewing clothes. So, but my grandfather, my step-grandfather, gave me my first camera. And I think maybe five, six, somewhere in there. It was just a little point and shoot. One of the little narrow ones.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the best thing in the world.
Do you still have
pictures of No. That thing died a long time ago.
Oh, yeah. Oh, rest in peace.
They don't even make film for that thing anymore.
Anyway, continue. I'm so sorry.
So, I took that thing with me everywhere. I even took it to Jamaica.
Ooh.
When I went to Jamaica, I was 13 or 14. Oh, see, now she needs to stop that. Kim's talking things into existence. She needs to stop.
I can't wait for Kelly's poetry book to come out. I'm talking that into existence. Oh boy, keep talking, Kim. Keep talking.
Too many projects, Kim. Too many projects. So I took this camera to Jamaica with me. I think I was 13 or 14. I went down there to help build a school for underprivileged children. And I learned a major lesson while I was in Jamaica. As I was taking photographs of the beautiful sunsets and the beautiful sunrises and all the landscapes and all the people, I didn't pay attention to my backgrounds. So I got home and I developed all my film, took it to Walmart, did that thing. And got these photographs back, and I found a gentleman in the back of one of my pictures hanging off of a ledge. Yes, going to the bathroom. Pay attention to your backgrounds.
What's that?
Pay attention to your backgrounds.
Yes. Oh my goodness, pay attention to your backgrounds, people. Let's check our backgrounds right now. What have I got going on here? Okay, all right. Can you see the honey bears? No? One of them is coming in frame.
I have a cat.
There's a cat. Hello, cat. What's the cat's name?
Cat. That's Bobo Kitty.
Bobo Kitty. Perfect name for a cat. I hate when people give animals human names, even though I gave my animal a human name. What am I talking about? Anyway, Bobo Kitty, I love that. Bobo Kitty, you are our latest pet cameo on Drop a Line. I hope you're enjoying the show from where you lay sleeping. Yes. So, okay. So, about this man peeing in your background. That's. I'm not gonna lie. That's actually hilarious. But I'm sure at the time it must have been very disheartening.
He had bright orange shorts on. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, are you kidding me?
Oh man. Oh my goodness. And did you find any surprises in the backgrounds of your other photos?
I did not. That was like the only one because I was taking pictures of friends, and so he's like up over their shoulder. I was looking at them. Why don't you people?
Yeah, seriously. I mean, it's like the basis. It's like there's like a whole there's a whole Seinfeld episode committed to not paying attention to what comes up in your photo. You know what I mean? Like this is real stuff. So
I will tell you, there are some wedding photographers that there are things that go on in their backgrounds that they don't even know they're happening.
no, no, absolutely not. I was
Yeah.
referred to as Slender. Are you familiar with Slender Man, the
Yes.
character? Yes. For those of you who are not aware, Slender Man is a very large, white-faced, eyeless man who wears a suit, a very fancy suit, and stalks the woods to steal children. Anyway, with that in mind, why am I telling you this? I was a background. Yes, I was a background. Speaking of backgrounds, I was something of a background sensation at my friend's wedding. They called me Slender Businessman because it was a time in my life where I was very self-conscious but still wanted to have fun. So I never looked like I was having fun while I was dancing. So I was just kind of lurking in the background, kind of like in my dark suit, surrounded by people who actually looked like they were having a good time. It was like, who is that? I'm like, that's me. So yes, pay attention to your backgrounds. I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said that's awesome.
It is awesome, right? Pay attention to your backgrounds, people. You don't want a slender man, slender businessman, or a Jamaican peon man in your backgrounds. So
Ooh, no Jamaican peon man.
no, you don't want that. You do not want that at all. Well, that is very good insight. I can remember I used to be a videographer, something of a videographer. I used to have aspirations of being a filmmaker. So I did actually handle a camera for various jobs. I can remember, this isn't exactly backgrounds, but I can remember I did a job for a professor and I didn't quite know how the camera worked yet. And I didn't know how to hook up the mic. I recorded an entire seminar without any audio. I was mortified when I looked at that footage. Absolutely mortified. Yes. Oh, yes.
And that is why you double check your equipment before you go to a shoot.
That's right. That's right. So I feel like, we're talking about some golden rules for photographers. Yours is to always check your backgrounds. When we were talking earlier, it seemed almost also a bit of a philosophical statement as well. Do you want to expand upon that?
Yeah. So it's mainly pay attention to your surroundings and be able to read a room.
Yeah.
These two things will help you in life no matter what. No matter where you're going, what you're doing. But also be able to step away from the action and look at everything and take it all in. Because you don't want that narrow point of view. You want to make sure you capture, even in your mind's eye, the whole scene.
Yes. Ooh, I love that. So Kelly, you have so you went to Jamaica and you were in love with photography and lighting since you were very young. You loved to take pictures, but now you're in the business of it. I'm wondering, was this something that happened naturally? Like, did you go to school for photography or anything like that?
I did. My degree is in digital imaging of photography and computer graphic arts technology management.
Amazing.
My original major was theater.
Okay. All right. I'm a theater kid too. I like that.
So I actually had scholarships for theater. And then I realized I didn't think I could make any money at it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
As I like to do a lot of the scene construction and I like to do the lighting and paint with light. um, so I changed my major to graphic arts and then switched it over into photography. So I am actually almost a dual major, just a few credits shy of that second major with my graphic arts.
Wow.
And I started doing photography straight out of college.
Amazing. And what is the name of your brand?
It is Shandylinn DeVita Creative Works now. Originally, it was DeVita Studios.
Oh,
And I I did rebranding in 2017 to encompass my writing and my knitting arts and anything else I wanted to pursue creative wise. So it could all fall under one umbrella.
I love that because it's all creative, all of those things. And really anything that you put that level of passion and attention into, anything that you craft. I mean, I don't know how everybody else feels about this, but sometimes I even compare writing to fixing a car. You know what I mean? You know, because there's so many parts. There's so many parts that come together to make a really good story. Characters, plot devices, tropes, settings, lighting, sometimes colors, which is this and that, the other thing. You know, I sometimes I literally just think of it as a well-oiled machine. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I give a mechanic a lot of credit. You know, I think that's something of an art.
It is. It
Yeah.
is.
Mhm.
I
Um,
know how to, do all that stuff too. That's all fun.
you know, oh, you can fix a car?
Oh, yes.
That's cool. I can't fix a car.
I had to learn how to, before I could drive, I had to know how to change a tire, change my oil, and do all the regular maintenance by myself.
Well, I'm going to keep you on speed dial if I ever get lost in the woods. I'll tell you that right now. So
I am really
just
good
to,
with directions.
there you go. Perfect. Perfect. I'll give you my exact coordinates as soon as I learn what coordinates are. So, um, so I had a question about your brand making. I was in school, in undergraduate, to be a fiction author. I came out of school writing my first book, looking for a place to publish my first book. And when I met with my first publisher, he says to me, I want to build you a brand. I said, great. But deep down, I'm thinking, get
What's
more
that?
information without telling him you don't know what he's talking about. So, yeah, like branding was just a concept I had to gradually learn about. I'm curious. When did you first learn about branding, and how did that understanding, kind of grow into what it is today?
So I really kind of scratched the surface um, back in 2010 as things were progressing in my life. Um, learning those pieces and everything. In 2011, I had to completely rebrand myself because we moved from the Midwest to
Mm,
Tucson, Arizona. So I
mm,
up and left all of my clientele
mm,
and had to start from scratch,
mm,
which takes a lot. Takes a lot of energy and a lot of patience, especially when you're moving to a town that you don't know anybody.
mm,
And then I had to turn around and do it once again when we up and moved to Jersey.
mm,
So I've done it a couple of times.
mm.
um,
Wow.
but I really kind of learned about branding in 2010 and have been cultivating it ever since. And I knew in 2017 I had to reevaluate what was going on, as my health started to fail. And so I had to learn that I couldn't be a photographer of people and be at their beck and call when I was sick constantly.
Mhm.
So that's when I had to rebrand and take a step back and figure out where things were moving.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And around what time did you get in contact with arts and authors? With the lovely Kimberly?
So Kim and I met in the early 2000s. I think it was around 2002.
Mhm.
I don't know exact dates.
All right.
But we met while I was not living here in Jersey. I was actually living in Missouri when we met. We were in town visiting as my husband was from Jersey originally. Um, Kim's boyfriend, now husband, is best friends with my husband's older brother.
Yeah. So
And
family, kind
Kim and
of.
I, it is a family. It is, and Kim is my sister from another mother. I that's just how it is, right there. Um, so we bonded very quickly. But as time progressed, living away from being able to talk to one another, um, and then Facebook happens,
Mhm.
and we got to finally be Facebook buddies. Um, when I announced that we were moving to New Jersey, I think she was like one of the first ones to scream and yell and jump up, hooray! So I didn't have very many fears moving to Jersey because I at least knew somebody. Okay, Gene
Absolutely.
says we met in 2004. Lol.
There you go. There you go.
Couldn't remember if it's 2002 or 2004. Who knows?
Hey, it's all right. It's all right. 2004 was a lovely year. Lovely, lovely year. It was the year that brought you two together.
Oh,
And look at all the work you've done since then.
yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. So, what was it like? You had many changes in your life, and you very boldly, I think, faced some unforeseen circumstances that affected your overall branding. I mean it. I think that um,
Yeah.
that's just a very amazing and encouraging part of your story. And I'm just curious, like, what it's like now on the other end of all that. What is it like being in business with arts and authors? Being officially branded, being as busy as you are now. You know.
I don't know which way's up. It's got too much going
Yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah. No, I get that.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, it's amazing that, as I have felt better over the last year, recovering from my chronic illness, I'm noticing I have more energy to do things. So I'm like, oh, I can do that. 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 And then I'm like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
I don't have any time.
Right. Yeah. I didn't know I had to do all that.
Why did I do this to myself?
Right. 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 When you put them all together, they look a lot bigger. Right. Yeah. I'm the same one.
They
Yeah. It's
do.
bad.
They do. And just the fact that, I'm trying to get out and photograph more because I have more energy.
Mhm.
So, that's also, playing a toll into it. And then at the beginning of the year, I gave myself a project, a
Mhm.
self-proclaimed project for the year, to do several self-portraits with my favorite books. And that's one of the images I gave to you, was for
Yes.
my Outlander shoot. And then the second one came into play with Kim's birthday party with The Great Gatsby. Yay! I have 2 more that I actually have 4 more planned, but I think I'm only gonna get 2 more done this year, um, as some things have changed and you gotta move some things around.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Sure.
but Dune and Alice's Adventures in Wonderland.
Ooh, love it, love it. So those are 2 of your favorites, huh?
Yes.
So pick one or both and just tell us a little bit about why.
Well, okay. So we'll go with Dune because I'm a Dune. I'm a Frank Herbert fangirl.
All right, all right. Doing it.
Um, it's a very strong story. As you know, it's a coming of age.
Mhm,
And I'm really glad that they're finally redoing the movies, and it looks like it's actually going to be done correctly.
mhm,
Not to say that the other ones weren't done correctly, but you've got, there's so much in that book to tell, and there's so much left out of the movies.
mhm,
Um, but you can never fit a whole book into a movie.
mhm.
You really
Right.
can't. You can barely fit a whole book into a television series.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, look at Outlander.
Mhm.
Season 1 is supposed to be book 1.
Yeah,
No,
not quite, right?
they have to change a few things.
Yeah, not
They
without a
have
little bit
to
of
change
context.
a few things.
Yep,
They have to
exactly.
cut things, and that's why they get the buy-in from either the author or who still owns that estate
Yep.
for the original view.
Mhm,
But Dune is a coming of age story. It is also knowing what is right and what is wrong.
mm, important.
And it is something that we can look at anytime, whether it's in
Mhm,
the 80s or 2020, 2021, it still applies.
yeah,
It's science fiction.
right.
It's always going to apply
That's right.
because you've got that big overarching story.
Mhm.
So,
Oh, I love that. Absolutely love that. Um, that's like my dream is to, create something fictitious, fantasy sci-fi that can just have that staying power because it talks about something timeless. And
yeah.
that can be a little bit harder than it sounds. I've learned in the endeavor of putting this book together.
Yeah.
I mean, ideas can be simple, but finding the right words to say certain ideas in a way that really is meaningful or provokes an emotional response. I've
Yeah.
found that involves a lot of
Truthful to your character. That also stays truthful to your character.
yeah. Hmm.
Because you got to be truthful to your character. Because if
That's right.
you're not, it doesn't work.
That's right. That's right. This has been a wonderful discussion so far. I cannot believe I told you we'd be 40 minutes in, and I'd be like, "Hey, look at where the time went." I told you that
Look
earlier
at
today.
time.
So around this time, I like to ask a couple of things. I like to ask our guests if you have any questions or comments, or if there's something we haven't touched upon yet that you would like to bring up in this interview.
So I got a couple of things.
All right.
One, I just released um, a wedding planner as I am getting out of photographing weddings. I just did a pre-order, and they will be available soon. I will Possibly, I'm looking at setting up an Etsy store so people can do a download of a digital version.
All right.
Um, Also, I'm in the process of testing new printers for new prints to be put up on Etsy. So those would be different prints than what are up on my website,
Mhm.
as those are more fine art prints. These are your everyday, oh, that looks really cool. I'd like that on my desk,
Mm,
those
very nice.
kinds.
Love it.
Um, I am also finishing up a short story. Well, it's not really a short story. It's more of a novelette because it's longer than a short story. um, for my Eris Fraser novel.
Mhm.
So I'm actually on chapter 24 of the novel, but her novelette will be released probably early next year.
All right. All right. Can't wait. Do you want to talk a
So,
little bit about
but
that?
none of this would have been possible. None of this would have been possible without Kim. That
Mhm.
novel's been in progress since 2016.
Mhm.
2016. It's almost done. Thank goodness.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you, Kim. And congratulations, Kelly, on being so far along in the journey. I cannot wait to see how your release goes. And I hope you
Hopefully.
know yes, and I hope you know that One True Promotion will be around to promote you when the time comes, and to make sure that people know that there's a
Always.
great new book on the market, and people have got to go buy it. That's wonderful, Kelly. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So, um, we also like to offer our guests a chance to share their work live on air. Is there anything that you would like to share with us this evening? It's totally optional.
Sure.
All right, wonderful.
Um, do I do a poem or do I do an excerpt from the short story? See if she answers.
Uh, yes. Let
She
us
might.
know,
She might
Kim.
not.
Let us know.
No, she says congratulations to both.
Thank you for congratulating us. Do you want to hear some? Andrew's voting. He voted both. Would you like to read both?
Both. I don't know if there's enough time to do both. All right.
Uh,
So we'll do the poem first. Oh, she wants the
Wonderful.
excerpt. Okay. Go with the excerpt.
So, all right, there we go. Excerpt it
So
is. Wonderful.
it is entitled Bad Things Never Walk Alone. Dust and exhaust choke out what is visible of the sun as the shuttle reached above the clouds. It was just another day to everyone else, except my adoptive family. Today we lost the glue that held us together. For the next 3 years, I would have to deal with my adoptive parents without my buffer, without my sounding board, not knowing if I could actually be a part of a family for real without the reason I came to survive grating on my nerves. I feel a small hand grab mine as I continued to watch the shuttle until it was out of sight. This must have been what he felt like when I left on my tour to the lunar base. Looking over the slight woman who had grabbed my hand, I noticed a single tear fall from her jaw and landing on her pristine outfit. Viv was always so put together ever since I came into this family. She's the one who made us get together once a month, no matter what we were doing or where we were assigned, except for the day I drew duty to go to the lunar base. Now it was Chaz's turn to go to the lunar base and leave us. Drawing a shaky breath, I leaned over and looked into Gavin's steel gray eyes and saw the reflection of my fear. It was going to be a while before all of us were in the same room after today. Eris, are you ready? We need to get back on the companion trail. His voice rasped as he tried to control his emotions. Yeah, let's get this circus in the air. It's not a circus. This is very important to him. Viv paused, looking up once more, looking to see if she could see Chaz. If he doesn't win, you know candidate Yi will tighten the stranglehold on trade agreements with the Volfrex, which means we will not get the research materials for the faster-than-light engines. I know, but do you actually think anyone cares about the foster child you took in when she was 15? Also, what if I get called out for a mission? I'm still on active duty. Do you really want to try to explain why I'm there 1 minute and gone the next?
Wow, love it. Love it, Kelly. Thank you for sharing your writing with us. I am hooked. Andrew's clapping too. Oh, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
Now, the boss, Andrew is actually my boss, not in name, but in spirit. He tells me to do things and I do them. And right now he's telling me he wants a poem. And I do too, frankly, after that. Encore, encore.
Thank you, Cam. Thank you, guys. All right. A moment of weakness. In the beginning, my voice is quiet. No one would listen. I continued to speak and tried to make myself heard. No one would listen. The pain became increasingly daunting. It would overwhelm me in a moment. A moment of weakness for me would put me on my knees. Then came the other symptoms that made no sense. Doctors would treat the symptoms, but not the cause, writing my voice off before it was heard. You cannot be experiencing that much pain. That makes no sense. Come by when you're having the pain. A moment of weakness for me would put me on my knees. Living a half-life, as my health deteriorated without knowledge. Fighting to live the life I wanted. The depression and anxiety had taken root. Once again, treating the symptoms and not the cause, I got those under control. A moment of weakness for me would put me on my knees. A new pain arrives. Now it is all the time. Awake, asleep, full, hungry. The agony is making me nauseated every day. No longer relying on doctors, research begins. A moment of weakness for me brings about change to seize. I gather evidence for those who disbelieve. I search for someone, anyone. I reach my breaking point, my voice reaching new heights, a look of astonishment when the evidence is presented. A moment of weakness for me brings about knowledge of possible ease. The tests go on for 6 months. In that time, the world has turned upside down, making it harder for my health. Things are delayed. The pain escalates. The diagnosis is in the pain is real. No to cancer, but yes to chronic illness. A moment of weakness for me brings about a heart and mind appeased.
That was absolutely beautiful. My goodness. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So somebody, wow. I'm actually fighting tears right now.
Sorry.
No, please listen. Whenever somebody's words or art can squeeze a tear out of me, that is to me that is just a blessing. So it's a happy thing for me. And I agree with Kim. You know, I am very sorry that you had to go through that, and I'm very glad that you've overcome that time in your life. It really is. You know, it really does bring us into you. You know, it lets us see with your eyes. So truly a wonderful piece. And you know, I wanted to say that I spent a good portion of that watching you on camera and very much enjoying it. But for toward the end, a little bit, just because I started to get curious, I shut my eyes for a minute, and I was right. You know, you have this voice that I could just picture on radio. You know, or on CD, like, you know, just playing around the house. I mean, really, it is. You just have a powerful voice. You really do. It's you know, beautifully written.
I think that's the theater thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was just absolutely, that was a gift. Thank you very much for sharing that.
It still moves me, to tell you the truth. Okay.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah. And I hope that you can feel that. We like you here. You know what I mean? We want to hear your story here. We want you to share yourself with us and be vulnerable so that we can support you and we can help amplify your voice. That's what we do here at One True Promotion. And you're, like I said, a collaborator. So I really hope that was sharing that rather, was a positive experience for you.
Oh, it
Certainly
always
was.
is. It always is. It just, I didn't know if we'd have time for both.
Oh, we always. If Andrew tells me I have time, I have time. If he tells me to run the show another hour, I run the show another hour. I'm kidding. I wouldn't actually do that. But Andrew does have a lot of things. What'd you say?
I have a bedtime.
Me too, actually. Me too. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Kelly, this has been absolutely wonderful. My favorite thing about Drop a Line is that even if I've already met with you and spoken with you multiple times, this really is like a vehicle to get to know you so much better. So I really appreciate you being here with us tonight. Do you have any closing remarks for us?
For those who want to know what chronic illness I have, and it will be the centerpiece of my biography, it is endometriosis. It is a chronic illness that affects 1 in 10 women all over the world. And there's very little known about it. So that's why I'm going to focus my my memoir, if you go to say, around endometriosis and my fight.
Well, thank you for sharing that with our viewers. I definitely think that there's more than one person out there that really needs to hear that needs to know your story. So it is just really just so moving to see you amplifying your voice and making that impact. But like I said, on the other side of that, when that good work is done and you need a place to relax and feel like you're among friends, we certainly hope that One True Promotion can be that for you. So,
Always.
yes. Well, that about runs out the clock for this evening, Kelly. Thank you for being here. You have been a fabulous guest. I hope that you will come again. I hope that you will stick around for one extra second after the show is done. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed your time here.
Yes. Always, Alec. We need to involve Carrie in this. This would be more fun because then we'll just get going.
It would. Carrie and I have been talking lately about how we are going to start doing more shows together. So the next time we're having you on, we'll make sure it's both of us for certain.
Yeah.
Kelly, this has been a pleasure. I wish you a good night and thank you again for being here. This was Drop a Line, everybody. Where can they follow you?
Oh, they can follow me on Instagram at SD Creative Works.
That's right.
Same with Facebook and the Twitter. If you want to follow there, it is Shandylinn. It's just my first name. And the website is sd-creativeworks.com. Of course, www.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Come find me.
Yep,
I'm the only Shandylinn.
That's right. Don't go to Shandylinn. Go find Kelly, support her work, and definitely if you enjoyed the show tonight, book your interview on Drop a Line by messaging us. Kelly, you have a wonderful evening. This was Drop a Line. Thank you all, and good night.